Good morning to each of you. A warm welcome to this webinar in which Agristo aims to provide you as engaged customers with insights into the actions the company is taking on the level of sustainability and also to present the results of their new sustainability report. Agristo places a high value on both sustainability and transparency, and that's why Peter Vos and Ward Claerbout are with us as Energy Manager and Legal and External Manager to clarify these matters. Peter and Ward will guide us in the upcoming half an hour on the sustainability policy, and after that we take some time to answer your questions and share reflections. Gentlemen, welcome.
Good morning.
Morning.
Ward, maybe start with a start. Why is sustainability so important for Agristo?
Well, sustainability has always been part of our DNA. When the company was founded in 1986, the founders were really involved in sustainability. We had Luc Raas, who was involved from the agricultural part. We had Anton Wallais, who always worked on energy and water solutions. And we've always been focusing a lot on efficiency, which equals also sustainability, of course. Second, we work with the product of nature. We work with potatoes. Without these potatoes, we don't have a company. And they are affected by climate change and everything that happens on sustainability. So it's common sense for our business, our activity, to really focus on it. And third, we are a family-owned company. So we really want to build this company, pass it on to the next generations, and it has to be there for the next 100 years or longer, if possible.
Yes. Peter, the business of Agristo is very energy intensive, as I might say. Significant material usage, also a lot of water needed and heavy transport. So I think these are three key domains that are very challenging.
Yes, absolutely. Well, if you know Agristo, we make pre-fried and frozen food, so it means that we need a lot of energy. We also need a lot of water to wash potatoes, and we export our products worldwide. So I agree that those are major challenges, and mainly because there are no easy solutions available yet for all these three domains. And water is evolving really fast, energy as well, but we need a lot of high temperature energy, which is a bit more challenging. So yes, these are very interesting topics for us.
Okay, the baseline of your company is we cultivate growth. I think sustainability has to be anchored into the company. How do you try to do that?
Yeah. So indeed, our baseline, our purpose is we cultivate growth. That's not just growth in numbers, it's really growth for everyone in our ecosystem. And we're also convinced that growth will only happen when we do it in a sustainable way. It's also very important for us that sustainability is not part of one specific department or a sustainability manager. It's really the task of every department, of every employee in our company to find sustainable solutions. And also, therefore, we don't really have a separate sustainability strategy. It's part of our overall business strategy to have sustainability goals.
It's a horizontal line into the company. You can put words on it, but I think it might be important to make it visible also, not only for customers, but also for employees. There's the Agristo compass for that.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we visualized everything in a compass. It's an exercise we did in 2023. And the main goal is really to give some direction internally on why we do things, what we do, and how we do them. And the why is for us, of course, this purpose, and we cultivate growth. What we do is, of course, frozen potato products, frozen potato-inspired products even. And the what is the ambition. We want to be the global reference in retail and food service. And to be that global reference, we really we have to be sustainable. Companies that are not sustainable will not be a global reference in this future. And how we defined through some basic values. Before we had a lot of values, too many. I don't think everyone could remember them. Now we have 4 basic values, and 2 of them are directly linked with sustainability. It's care for people, and it's eyes on the future. So in every decision, people need to really think long term and assess the impact on sustainability.
So let's take a deeper dive into some results of the first report or the new report you are presenting. it all starts from the CSRD, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, which is a European direction and regulation that requires company to report on their impact on people and climate, and it started this year. What does this CSRD mean for Agristo?
Yeah, so the CSRD, it's mandatory indeed. It's not mandatory yet for us. For the reporting in 2026, it is going to be mandatory for us too. But we wanted to take a head start. So we wanted to do the reporting already today based on the standards of the CSRD. And this directive, it obliges us to work with material topics. So we have to define what are the real topics that are important in terms of sustainability for Agristo. We had to do that together with our stakeholders, and we did this whole assessment, and it allowed us to regroup our strategy also in 3 P's. We work now with planet, Potatoholics, which is our people, and product or potato, which is our end product. Everything supported by governance, which is in the baseline for our business activities.
Okay, 3 P's and a G. Peter, regarding water, energy, and then the carbon footprint, the CSRD also impacts Agristo's business operation, I presume.
Yes, absolutely. CSRD has a major impact on the whole organization, and to be honest, we were lucky that we didn't have to start from scratch. We were already reporting on our carbon footprint, I think in 2019 or 2020. We already have a lot of KPIs on energy, on water use, on material use. So we had something to start with. But with the CSRD, we need to report with a lot more detail, a lot more numbers, a lot more policies that we need to report on. So this has a big impact on the whole organization. We need to redefine the way we will work with sustainability, the way we will collect and store data. So we will need more digital solutions, for example, to make sure that we have everything ready once we need to start reporting.
It's also more than energy measures, because there's, like you said, social and governance guidelines. What does that mean for Agristo and the people who work here?
Yeah, so social guidelines are about people, of course. So it's always been important for Agristo to focus on our people. But now it's also explicitly part of our sustainability report. And we also developed the people strategy to really work on how we are seeing people, not as a resource, but more as a value stream. And also governance. Governance is not a new thing for us. We always worked on governance. It's a minimum baseline, but now it's also more explicit in the sustainability report.
It's also about social capital, the family, the human.
Absolutely,
inside.
yeah. It's we can't. Business is about people. Our business is about people, but also behind our suppliers, behind our clients, there are people. And we're not going to run a company just with our machines. So we have to value those people. We have to reinforce them, connect them, make sure they have fun at work also. So this is what is part of the people strategy.
Okay, also for the stakeholders. So, Peter, how did you manage to fit all these requirements? Because there are kind of a lot of mandatory KPIs, and then you have to bring them back onto your company. How did you proceed on that?
We start with a big list of everything that's required for the CSRD. It was huge.
Yeah.
And still, if you look at the goal of a sustainability report, it's to share information, to share our results, our efforts with our stakeholders. So we try to regroup everything to make sure that we still have a visible report, report with graphics. There are moving pictures in the report. There's a lot of graphics. It's also very easy to navigate. So I think there a lot of effort has been done by our marketing department. So really kudos to them for everything they've done. We now present a report that is CSRD ready, but that's still a nice, enjoyable report to read for our stakeholders.
Yes, because that's also important. People can
absolutely
comprehend what is going on behind. So let's continue a bit more on the CSRD, because as you said, you're taking a head start, but which steps Agristo has taken at this moment to bring it in? And
So we had to define our material topics. So it's really a whole exercise you have to do to really work with your stakeholders and see, okay, what are the topics that are really important and what are the topics Agristo can make a difference on. So that's one part. The second part is indeed also all the data. The data doesn't come with a push on a button. For financial information, it does. For sustainability data, it's not that easy. But so this whole material topic assessment, this we did with a stakeholder analysis first. So we defined who are these stakeholders. There are some that make sense. They're on the slide. Of course, our employees are stakeholders, suppliers, clients. But there's also others. There's neighbors, there's governments, there's research institutions. So we worked with all of them, and we sent them questionnaires to ask them, what do you think? What do you expect from us as Agristo? And also some interviews in depth were done with some key stakeholders. And this Peter could use to then make the double materiality assessment.
Yeah, which is a very important part of the whole picture. That double materiality analysis. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. First, it was very important to take into account the opinion of all our stakeholders, because if we only look at what Agristo think is important, it wouldn't have the same result. So we really consulted all our stakeholders, neighbors, customers, and maybe it's a good time to thank everyone who contributed, who gave feedback on our questionnaires. It's really very valuable to us, and it's the basis for the renewal of our sustainability strategy. And so that one was very important, and for us, results were very interesting, and some of them, they were things we already knew, like if we look at our double materiality assessment, number one is water. Number two is climate action, which is energy, transport, these things. These are topics we already knew that are very important to us. But if we look at the third one, it's sustainable agriculture. And well, our potato has always been a priority to us, but to see it really on the top right of our double materiality assessment, that's really an important message to Agristo. Second, there are some social topics that scored very highly, like health and safety, well-being, personal growth. It's also very important to us. So it's a good message to Agristo that, okay, you need to take this into account. You need to develop strategies for that.
You divided them up also into material topics and non-material.
Yes, and even there we had some surprises. Packaging and waste, for example, was assessed to be non-material. So a lot of people think packaging is a number one sustainability issue, but apparently the people we consulted, they don't think it's that important. Same with diversity. Diversity, I think for us, it's something natural that here in the organization. So it was assessed to be a non-material topic, which also means that we don't have to keep on working on that with the number one priority.
Yeah.
Often also because we already did a lot on those topics.
Exactly.
So there's less
or you maybe
room for
are
improvement.
already there or on a level that people expect from a firm as Agristo. So let's stick to the material topics on the existing strategy. We're talking about water, we're talking about climate action. What's the reporting there? What do you have to do with these topics now? How do you bring them out?
Well, there are a lot of mandatory items we need to report that has been defined by Europe. If we say that climate action, that agriculture is a material topic, then you need to report on that. Yep. Same with the non-material topics. We don't need to report anymore on packaging, but we did have KPIs on packaging. So we redefined our sustainability strategy. We had, I think, 25 goals in 9 different categories, and that was a bit too much. So like Ward already says, we now regrouped it into the 3 Ps. There are less goals, and maybe I can put them on the screen like this. So we have a new set of goals. Most of them are still the same. We still have a lot of focus on the carbon footprint, on energy and water. But our packaging KPIs, they are not in our strategy anymore, for example. We also grouped some of the KPIs on materials. We had separate KPIs on potatoes, on material use. That's now all combined so that it's more aligned with the CSRD. Same with the social topics. Some of them were slightly changed to be more aligned with the CSRD. And with this set of topics, we now move towards the future.
Okay, so this is fewer KPIs for companies for the company strategy, which means I think you can more focus on them as a firm.
Focus on the parts where we can really have an impact and where our stakeholders expect us to have an impact.
Okay. We have been talking about the 3 Ps, the planet, the Potatoholics, and the people. Maybe let's start with the planet, Peter. Carbon footprint tops your list of KPIs, as I can see. Why is it so important?
Well, carbon footprint is one of my favorite topics.
Yeah, okay.
And the
this
reason
might take a while.
Yeah, okay.
How much time did we have? No, the nice thing about the carbon footprint is that you can compare everything on the same unit, which is carbon dioxide. You can compare the efforts that Agristo does with the efforts that are done in the whole value chain to put everything on the same unit. And what we do is we compare our own impact, so scope 1 and 2 is it called, which is on the left graph, which is mainly energy. You can see it in the pie chart, 18%. So everything that Agristo does is only 18% of the whole climate impact of 1 kilogram of French fries, which means that the whole other part is in the whole value chain. Yeah. And we can see there, so that's called the scope 3. And we can see there that there's a lot of impact on potatoes, also on other materials, on transport, like we discussed in the beginning of this webinar. So this also means that we need to spread the impact, spread the reduction. And we have done a very big part on our scope 1 and 2 emissions. Like you can see, we had almost 34% reduction of our own climate impact in only 4 years by investing a lot in low carbon energy, for example. So this has really given us a lot of reductions. And in our scope 3, we are now at 11%, so not as much. And it also means that we need to move forward in that scope
and
3.
see for other places and solutions to bring it on the next level. The carbon footprint does not cover everything. I don't see water, for instance.
No. That was something we discussed several times. Water is our number one material topic, so we cannot ignore water in our whole strategy. And we are already doing a lot with energy efficiency projects, water efficiency projects, so we have water dashboard in our factory. We also last year started up our first water reuse installation. Okay. But we wanted to make a similar exercise compared to the carbon footprint. So we made a water footprint analysis, which is very similar. But the results were even more surprising because where in our carbon footprint we see that 86% is scope 3. For water, it's 99.5% of the whole water usage of our French fries is in the value chain. Yeah. Which is then again for growing potatoes, which is for making plastics for our packaging, for transport, for energy production. So all that impact is on water, and it even it states even more that we need to look at the whole value chain if we look at decarbonization, if we look at climate change.
It's a more holistic approach of the whole system than just the parts of each process. What about the stakeholders? You mentioned already earlier that the farmers, of course, the potato growers, if I may say, are your most important stakeholder there. Without them, no Agristo, of course. How do you try to include them in the sustainability process?
So also, as you see in the pie chart, potatoes are 20% of our total carbon footprint. So it's a big part, of course. And potato farmers have been working a lot on sustainability already in the past. There's also increasing pressure from environmental legislation and from the consumer, of course. So we mainly want to continue to work with these farmers to use sustainable agricultural practices. We want to inspire them. We want to train them on these sustainable agricultural practices. What we don't want to do is to put more administrative burden on them, because there's already a lot for farmers. And we also have to look at ourselves. What can we do? And there we really have to look at food waste, food loss. We really have to use every single part of that potato to the maximum. We can't leave potatoes on the fields or have too much loss in our factories. Yeah. Of course, that being said, we buy potatoes from farmers. We don't grow potatoes ourselves. So there's also limits in what we can do with our farmers.
your firm here in Belgium, but also the upcoming one in France, is like positioned in the middle Western Europe part where potatoes are grown. Of course, this is the best climate for them. This is kind of the best soil for them. But there are also a lot of challenges for the farmers on that level.
But it's a good point, because indeed this region, this area, it's still the area where potatoes grow the best. We get the biggest yield with the smallest input in an acre. So it's still compared to other regions in the world, the best area to grow potatoes.
Yeah. On the other hand, climate change is coming also there. It's outside the chain maybe, but also a lot of other environmental laws that coming up that might not always like track with the CSRD. Can you support farmers or can you get a view on the impact that might have?
Yeah, well, it's there's some clear issues that are important, and that also come from environmental legislation. I'm thinking about soil quality, which is also important for the farmers, and also important for us.
And
if the soil quality is not good, we will not get the same yields in the future. Same thing with surface water quality. Europe made some very ambitious targets on this water quality. So we have to work together with the farmers to reach those targets. And we're doing this. And in the past already, legislation changed a lot. Farmers adapted. Farmers have been shown to be very resilient also. It shows that it's possible. And if you look at the last decade, the last 20 years, the changes we have done throughout the chain, not we, but everyone involved, is enormous. Yeah. It's really promising for what is possible in the next decades.
So did then, with this new CSRD ID coming up, did there changed something in the collaboration, or is this more the continuation of?
Of course, we are becoming bigger. We are growing, and with growth also comes bigger responsibilities and a bigger impact also. So we do feel that we want to work closer together with our farmers. And again, not adding all kinds of rules, that is counterproductive. It's really showing how it can be done, how it is in the advantage of the farmers, and working on the ecological side, but also on the livelihood of farmers, because we will still need them in the future.
There's also a next generation coming up, so they
absolutely
want to be involved.
Yeah, we need young farmers to continue to do the farming and to do it in a sustainable way, but also in a way that we stay competitive and that they are competitive.
Okay,
which is then perfectly aligned with the Agristo Compass. Eyes on the future, we care for you.
Caring for people.
It's the same also for the farmers, for other stakeholders. We're in this together, so let's take this journey together.
Yes. So what are the major challenges then for the upcoming years, I might say, on this level?
In farming, really, there it's really, for me, again, it's soil quality. It is biodiversity is going to be a big challenge, of course, and quality of the water. While also working on better varieties, resistant varieties, to really help the farmers to keep their yields, but to do it in a more sustainable way.
Let's move from the planet to the people, if I may say, even if they are all in that together. There's a lot of emphasis on people, not only the farmers, but on all people involved. So that's a very that's a choice. That's a
yeah, absolutely. Business is a people thing. Again, as I said in the beginning, we will not run this company with machines alone. So we really value our people. We don't see them as a means to get to an end. We don't see them as a resource. No, we really see them as a value stream. This is also how we built this company from the beginning. And now we are growing. We are more people. So we really need to give them some. They need to want to work for us, and they need to want to create the value for our customer. And that's why we developed this people strategy. Yeah.
So we cultivate growth. ID is also people-oriented then.
Yes.
They have to grow for themselves. They have to grow as a
absolutely
Potatoholic family, as you call them.
Yeah. And it's really a value stream. Just like we create value for a customer, it's obvious that customers are a value stream, but also people are a value stream. So we want to create value for our people.
Yep.
And we want to do that by connecting people, by making them grow, making them learn new things, making them take initiative also, do innovative things.
There's also the Agristo Academy that has been
So we started that recently. So really we want to create training facilities to further evolve in their job or in another job in the company. The compass also helps, and the compass really helps to give them direction. The guiding principles help them to really take decisions by themselves, autonomously. So it's an important part.
Yeah.
The joy part is also important. We want people to have fun when they come to work. You spend a lot of time at work.
And you questioned your stakeholders. Did you question your employees?
Yes. All the employees were questioned through questionnaires, also through some interviews. So their opinion was very important for us in the sustainability strategy too.
Okay. Also, something very important in these times, work has to be good, fun, growing, but also safe.
Yes. So this caring for each other is also a big part of the people strategy. So we need to create a safe working environment for our people. And again, we're working with machines. It's a lot of different production facilities, a fast growth. So we really aim now on a better safety culture. So we really train our people to take no risks. There's no excuse for unsafe behavior, and we need to give them the tools to work in a safe way. So this is what we're working on in now, today, but also in the next years.
Peter, we get a view on the fact that potato stands for more than just a product, I think.
Yes, like Ward already said, it's our ambition to become the global reference in retail and food service. This means that we want to bring nutritious, good tasting food to all our customers. So with potato, we then mean it's our whole product range. We have a very nice range of innovative products, but it also involves food safety and transparency, which is, for us, it's a baseline. It's something that has to be there.
Food safety, as people safety, is very, very important. It's getting more important even than it used to be. But this has always been one of those prior KPIs here in the firm. So
indeed, and it's one of the strengths of Agristo. We work with modern facilities, new technologies, guaranteeing food safety, guaranteeing traceability is an absolute minimum.
Also
certifications, all the certifications are in place. We have the BRCs, the IFS. It's a minimum baseline, and we don't compromise on these things, of course. So it's always been important. It will stay important for Agristo.
Back to the baseline, we cultivate growth. This is kind of a starting point, as you said, on reporting, but also on developing new businesses. What are the plans then for the upcoming years? Because these are a lot of points to get in touch with and to stay in touch with.
Yeah, well, like we already said, sustainability for us, it's not a separate part. So if you look at the value we want to create for ourselves and for our customers, we take this into account in our product range. So we don't have a separate look at how sustainable this product is range, but we try to make all of our products more sustainable.
Also for the new ones then?
Yes, of course. When our R&D department is looking at new products, we of course think about sustainability. It's also a question that comes from our customers to have more sustainable products. And for example, in the last few years, there has been a high increase of oven and air fryer products. I think almost everyone has an air fryer at home now, and it's very easy, very convenient. We also have a range of skin-on products, which is for us very interesting because
it lowers the waste.
It lowers the waste because you don't have the peels you need to throw away, and also requires a lower amount of energy because you don't need to peel it in the same extent. So that's only a few things, but of course the range is is very big, and we keep on developing.
But it affects the developing of new products.
Yes.
As possible. To conclude, it's not an ending report or it's an ending point. It's a first start, a first milestone. This also has to grow in the future on short and on long term. So what are the ideas? You mentioned 225 to 26 as a first
it's
legal point.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, so it's going to be the next report there. That is going to be more aligned with CSRD even. The plans for the future are very clear. We have growth plans. So we want to produce 1.2 million tons of product out of Western Europe by 2030. It's going to have to be green growth. It's going to have to be sustainable growth. So there we have to look to sustainable solutions. And we strongly believe in partnerships also. Yeah. We can't be an expert in everything. So we really have to look for the right partners, the right experts to work together with us. The challenges are so big that we can't do them alone. So we're going to have to do that together with suppliers, but also together with our clients.
Yeah, together with people, but I can imagine some new technologies will be welcome too.
Absolutely. For me, both short and long-term technology needs a lot of attention. If you look at our material topics, water, climate action, and agriculture, we will need a lot of new technologies to make sure that we are moving in the right direction. So I see a lot of effort going there.
Okay. Thanks for this brief and short information, Peter and Ward, for explaining this report, which counts 89 pages. Sorry, you can find the whole report on the website of Agristo, and of course, we are open for your questions and some reflections for the next coming quarter. So we got some questions from some viewers and customers on forehand, so we will treat them, but don't hesitate to put your questions into the chat and we will treat them in the upcoming quarter of an hour because Peter and Ward are still here. Maybe to start, one of the first questions that came in, to what extent do your agronomists advise or support the growers to apply more sustainable farming practices? We talked about it, but some real practical examples maybe.
Well, our agronomists spend a lot of time with farmers to advise them, I think, on varieties, on different ways to grow, to fertilize. So I'm not an agronomist, so I don't know exactly, but they spend a lot of time with them to support them with a lot of things. We also have our grower days, I think twice a year, where we invite all the growers here to our office, and just as an event to inspire them, to reach out to them with solutions, with innovations, to invite them, for example, to calculate their carbon footprint. That was something that we've done last year, to invite them that, okay, we will provide the solution to you to calculate your carbon footprint. It helps the both of us. There are also some pilot scale tests with new varieties, like Ward already explained, climate resistant varieties that are being tested. So we are trying to do quite a lot.
Yeah, so it's not only a question, but you really support them. They're a partner.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. It's very important for us to be close to the agronomists, but we also need to invest a lot in knowledge and expertise and make it accessible to these farmers. So we work with research institutions, and we really want to bring this knowledge closer to them. And we can do that indeed in the Growers' Days when we invite all the farmers and give them training, explanations, and guide them throughout the journey of growing a potato.
Yes. One of the other topics we discussed was about packaging. You mentioned it was not the prior KPI in the new sustainability report, but there's kind of a question on what are the priorities, though, on packaging then?
Yeah. So indeed, it's not a material topic, but one of the reasons why it's not a material topic for us is because a lot happened already in the past on packaging. For example, on our carton, it's 100% recycled cartons that we use. We worked a lot with clients to also use thinner foil and recyclable foil. But we have some limitations also. Legislation limits some possibilities, and food safety, again, is our absolute priority number one.
To the product, frozen fries.
Indeed. So there's a lot of talking about biodegradable foil and films, but that doesn't go well with frozen food. So there's still some work to be done before we get there.
Yeah. This is one of the challenges you see. It's like there's a lot of legislation coming up, and it sometimes interferes or even is contra-working, I might say.
I think a good example is new European legislation, the Packaging and Packaging Waste Directive, which puts goals on recycled content of food packaging. But for the bags that we use to pack our fries, polyethylene bags, it is not allowed yet to use recycled content because it's a food contact material. You don't want any risk that there might be any hazardous material in contact with the product you consume. So there are some contradictions that indeed need to be taken into account. So I think focus for now is a lot on thinner foils, for example, to reduce the amount of foil or the kilograms of foil you need. But there are other things that we can do together with our customers. For example, the amount of different colors or the amount of ink that's on your bag, or do we need extra layers of varnish or not? Can we go for different options? I think there are a lot of things we can discuss, but together with our customers, we're not going to say that, hey, your bag suddenly
will
changed.
be like this.
So it's something that we need to do together.
Okay, there are more questions coming in, so don't hesitate to ask them in the chat. We try to handle them as much as possible here. Another question on suppliers, because you've been talking about the value chain and what can Agristo do itself, but what contributions and provisions does Agristo expect from its suppliers to achieve these goals? That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things our suppliers can do is to also calculate the carbon footprint of the products they supply to us.
Make the same exercises you do.
Yes. Because often we rely on databases to calculate our carbon footprint. I'm sure a lot of our suppliers do a lot of effort on sustainability, which will make sure that they have a lower carbon footprint. But therefore, they need to calculate it, and it also needs to be externally verified. It will help us a lot to work on our Scope 3 emissions. And second, I think we really ask our suppliers to reach out to us if they have a sustainable solution that they want to discuss with us. We are always there. Our procurement department is always there. Our agro department too. So we really want to work together with them to find sustainable solutions.
It's going to be needed to do this together, because if everybody is doing it on its own aisle, it won't work.
And for me, that was something that really surprised me in the questionnaires we send out for the materiality assessment. We expected that our suppliers would be reluctant to contribute, but we got a lot of positive feedback. A lot of suppliers reached out to us that, oh wow, we didn't know you were doing these things. Can we have a chat? Can we discuss? Maybe there are some projects we can do together. So I think if everybody thinks that the other party doesn't want to work on sustainability, then nobody does anything. But by reaching out, we were able to set up some first meetings. We had some very interesting discussions on just seeing, are we aligned? Do we want to do the same things, and can we do some things together in the future? So I was really happy to see that.
It's also about sharing knowledge and expertise in a way, which is kind of important. Another question coming in on the water footprint, which is very important, as you mentioned. How does Agristo work to reduce water usage and also process controlled by online or non-online analyzers?
Well, we are already doing a lot on water use, on water efficiency.
Is it possible to reduce it?
Yes, it is. It's always possible to reduce, but like to say, the low-hanging fruit, we already picked it. We are quite efficient in our water use, so we are focusing a lot on what the people can do in our factories by providing them with water dashboard, so they can see live on screen what the water usage is, and if something is higher than average, then it goes red. So for them, it's very, very easy to identify an issue, to very fast aim to reduce again the water use. So that's something we do. I already mentioned the water reuse project. We are continuing to invest in that. So in the coming years, there will be new projects coming up. And basically what the reuse is, we all have wastewater treatment plants at our sites.
Yep.
So we purify our water, but the water is not yet drinking water quality. What we aim to do is to put them back into a purifying installation, so extra purification steps to make, again, drink water quality of our effluent. So instead of taking in water and dumping water again in the river, for example, we make it a circle. And we recirculate back and back and back so that you have circular water, to say. And that will have a very big impact in the coming years.
And what about the control of the processes? Are there steps to be taken or taken already?
Data is the future. We are a very automized business, so there's a lot of data available. The big challenge is how to interpret this data and how to make sure that the right actions follow out of these data. But that data is the future, that is without a doubt. And with everything that is happening on new technology, AI also, I think there's a lot of potential that will benefit also the sustainability goals we have.
Still open for some questions, but I bring already another one to the table because, as you're mentioning, data is important, measuring is important. That's also kind of new thing, sharing that expertise. You can share it within your own stakeholders chain, but one of the questions here is, are you planning to submit your targets to SBTI and to other science-based systems, because there's also the global data analyst, of course.
Yes, it's a good question. And SBTI, the Science-Based Targets Initiative, it's something really valuable, because what they want to do is they want to align the strategy of companies, of organizations with the international climate goals. And that's something to applaud, of course, because we all want to stay within the 1.5 degrees warming in the coming years. But it doesn't always take into account the growth of companies. So
you're an economic business.
Absolutely. And of course, in 2050, we all want to be net zero. So we all want to have zero emissions. But if you are still growing as a company, and Agristo is, we are growing quite fast, then you are, even though you are reducing per ton of product, like we are reporting on, then you're going to reach a top. And we don't know yet if we already reached that top. We already have absolute reduction in the last few years, but with the new factories that are going to open up in the next years, we don't know yet what it's going to bring. So we did an exercise over the summer to analyze the impact of science-based targets on our organization, but it's still work in progress.
And also, I think SBTI is also evolving, where before they were really indeed looking into absolute reductions.
They're adapting their goals, maybe.
They are also changing, and they are also realizing that growing companies have difficulties to enter into SBTI. And they don't want to stop economic growth either. Economic growth can go together with sustainable growth. So I think it's going to change also in the future.
That seems also one of the biggest challenges. If you know everything, but there are still different, levels to define yourself to as a company.
That's true. And we don't want a label to change the way we are operating. Having the label SBTI will not change the way Agristo will look at sustainability. And what's for us very important is to keep that focus on actually trying to change, actually improving, actually working on efficiency, like Mia mentioned a couple of times. That is what we want to keep working on, not having like a wall full of labels that shows how sustainable we are.
No. Maybe time for a last question to end this Q&A. An important one maybe, but still, what are the key sustainability priorities now for the next 5 years? And do you already have a view on the obstacles that will be there in that 5 years coming up?
We mentioned our material topics. So those are, of course, our priorities for the coming years, and we can refer to them as the human capital part, so all the social part. You have the natural capital, which is an agriculture. Financial capital is, of course, something we don't want to ignore, but we really want to focus on those material topics, water, climate action, and for me, energy is one of the most important ones. We already had the 34% reduction in our energy impact, but that's a bit a low-hanging fruit. Well, we need a lot of effort, but the major challenge for us is our high temperature heat. Yeah. We need a lot of heat at 200 degrees for the peeling and the frying of our products. And people refer a lot to, you can install a heat pump, but that technology is not available yet for these temperatures. Not on that scale, and it's also an electrical part. So you also need the electricity distribution to be available with that, and with net congestion, with availability of electricity, that's also a challenge. So we do not see exactly how we were gonna decarbonize our high temperature heat, but a lot of technology is evolving. So I'm really hopeful. I'm following it up very closely, but I think that for me, it's a priority for the coming years.
And we're also investing ourselves in solutions for this, which is expensive, but we're really trying to keep an eye on what is possible in the next coming years. If you were talking about obstacles, for me also, I think there's a lot of legislation coming towards us. We talked about CSRD, everyone knows about this. There's also due diligence directive, there's deforestation, there's all kind of programs within the Green Deal. All programs which we support. And we really think they are important and that they are going to make a difference, and it's important to have targets. My fear is a little bit that we're going to spend a lot of time on reporting, on making sure we're compliant, administration, while, as Peter also said, we really want to focus our time on making an impact, a real impact, making a difference. And again, this legislation helps to make people think, make companies think, but we also really
has to be in
need
balance
to reach these targets. And it's going to take time and effort.
Okay, but you're heading ahead, I should say.
Yes.
With the good idea and the good vibes, and it's kind of important. I think we can end the Q&A over here, but the questions that are left will be answered by you in the upcoming weeks.
Absolutely.
Maybe, and people who still have questions or haven't put their question now on the table, don't hesitate to contact your Agristo salesperson or contact you have to talk about this sustainability report. Thanks for being with us. Just letting you know that there's a new sustainability report being prepared for 2025, as this was a first exercise in a way. But as Agristo and as Peter and Ward told us, they are moving ahead. So thanks for being with us this morning.
My pleasure.
And thanks you for being with us also, and enjoy the day.